Alicia here, and as you can tell by the title, this is the video of me showing you guys how to do and create and manufacture a concept map. So first I go to my internet, and as you can see I have it in my favorites already because we use it so much, so I just have it saved as concept maps. I go ahead and click it. Then the website that we do use, there's a bunch of other websites to create concept maps, but this is the best one that our school has given us, and it's Bubble US, or bubble-e.us. The only thing bad with this website is you only can do 3 concept maps for free. That is your limit. So if you wanted to do unlimited, you would have to pay for it, but once I get to 3, I just go ahead and save them. And then I just delete them off the website so I can keep that free subscription. And I think it lasts like literally forever as long as you have 3. I mean, it won't even let you do 4. It'll pop up a screen that says, nope, you already reached your limit. So that's it. But let's get started. So the first thing, it gives you a little bubble to start with, of course. Our school, and I'm pretty sure every concept map in the world, you have to have a key. So what I do is I start with my key first. So once I have my key, then I can plug in everything else and actually fully make my concept map. So I usually do my medical diagnosis in a yellow. These are the colors I actually use for my concept maps a little bit. But you can change the color of the word as you see there. You can change to red, to black, or whatever. Sometimes they just change automatically, depending on which color you have. You can make it bold. You can italicize it. You can center it, left it, right it, and you can increase the size of the letters. But I usually just change the color. That's it. So I'll make the medical diagnosis in a yellow. The nursing diagnosis, which is the second box that I always do, usually is in a green, like a bright green. That's a little too dark though. But anyways, so we'll change the color of that hopefully. But so then we'll do the meds that we have to do. My meds usually I do in a blue. Labs, which will be in a purple, which is norm for me. That nice purple that I always use, kind of like a lavender, I would say, dark lavender. And I like to make them linear, so I can see them align as I do my concept map. I can see, okay, my nurse diagnosis was green, and my blah 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 was blue, and all those things. As you can see, I go back and change it. After this, I like to do, I think, subjective data. I almost got tripped up doing a medical diagnosis again. I'm like, nope, I already have that. And then I was like, oh, nope, I want the interventions. So I like to do subjective data after I do my labs. Just because there's a specific color, or objective data, because there's a specific color scheme that I have to go with for the interventions and the goals. So my objective data, I usually like to do in that like coral color, and then I do subjective data in like a pinkish color, so it's not too close to it. And then I like to do, after I make it in a line, of course, I like to do my interventions in like a dark blue, as you guys will see. And then I let you guys see right after you type in interventions and you turn it to a dark blue, the next automatic bubble that pops up is a purple. So I'll let you guys see that. And that's the reason why I like to do it that way, because I like to just have that automatically purple for me. I don't have to choose it because they don't have that purple in the choices. It's just automatic. So as you see, I choose the blue, and then it just turns the goals and outcomes purple by itself, which I love. So after I see that I have my key, everything is keyed in, I like to observe everything. And then for my school, the interventions, we have to have a box that that has where we got our information from. So your drug guide book. So we just have to copy and paste it. And I was having little problems here because the color was not changing, and then I realized that it's because I got my, I copy and pasted from my notebook, so my notebook changed the color to black. And as you can see, I am struggling trying to figure out why the heck when my letters are not white, they automatically change on their own, so I just gave up. I do figure it out later, but for now I'm just like, what the heck? I'm so confused, and yeah, I tried everything I could, and I could not figure out why, and then finally I figured it out why. But anyways, okay, so I left that alone. So you can move your bubbles, you can add bubbles, you can make them bigger. But what I like to usually start with, I usually like to start with my admitting diagnosis, but for some reason, that totally slipped my mind, so I just started with my nursing diagnosis. But I will add that towards the end, as you guys will see. But I just did my nursing diagnosis, which was excess fluid volume. You always have to have related to, and then I've just put chronic heart failure as evidenced by +2 pitting edema to the bilateral lower legs. This is kind of a real guy and kind of not. It's a mixture of patients. So yeah, it's just a mixture of people. So I just put things together. They might not be accurate, so don't come for me. I just try to give you guys an example of how I do mine and how to do it on this specific website. So as you can see here, I am changing my nursing interventions to the color that they are scheduled to be in my key. They're the blue. So they change, and then automatically you see right there, the purple comes in. So that's perfect. Make sure you change your nursing diagnosis to the green that you had it to make sure it matches. Um, so then I start with my interventions. So I use my nursing drug guide book. Oh, I usually start with my goal. Just kidding. I usually start with my goal because that's a little bit more easier. Everything else, everything is in the book. Your nursing diagnosis is in the book. Your interventions are in the book. Your goals in the book. The only thing that's not in the book is your data, which is you gathered it all day if you're a clinical and you were paying attention. So that's the only thing that's not in the book. But everything else is in the book, or if you have it online, it's literally there. That's why we have to cite it to the T. So my goal for this client is to stabilize fluid volume by a balanced INO and reduce edema by the time of discharge. Because you always have to have something that's measurable. Remember that. You have to have a goal that's measurable and that has a time and that has a time frame and all those things. So this is measurable because it's by time of discharge. I want him or her to be free of edema and their eyes and nose be stabilized. So there you go. That's my goal. Then I start with my interventions. So I use whatever interventions I have. I usually just look through the book and whatever ones that I actually did for that day, I would use. Don't just use some random interventions because most of the time your instructors are with you and they know if you did it or did not do it. So I would recommend not lying and not using interventions, that you have not done. But once again, I copy and paste it where I got this intervention from, the book page. And of course, it's giving me that stupid problem where it turned black and I just was so annoyed. And then I finally figured out why it was doing that. But so I just kind of copy and pasted my intervention in there. Okay, so I finally figured it out and I got my letters to be white, which I'm happy about. So that's my first intervention. So any attributing medical diagnosis. So in this case study that I'm doing with you guys today, this person also has a history of acute kidney injury, and they also have BPH, which is benign prostatic hyperplasia. So you know how when you go to the restroom for men, they dribble and they can't really go. So yep, let's just throw that in there. They have that, which has to do with their excess fluid volume. Change the color. Make sure you change the color because remember your medical diagnosis is that yellow, specific yellow. So make sure that matches your key. And for these, to connect it, you see this little arrow here, you just press it, you connect it anywhere you want. You can connect it to anything. So that's what your instructors want to see. They want to see that your mind is working to connect. Not just not throwing data out there, but you're actually trying to see, oh, because they have this, it can go to this. And because they have this, it can go to this. Now, if you accidentally connect it to somewhere you didn't want to, you can just click on the arrow and click the little X and it disappears. So that's what I love about this website too, because sometimes you forget, oh, well, that doesn't go there. So you can just click that arrow and delete it like it was never there. So I'm thinking of other medical interventions. So we'll type those 3 in, and then I'll see you guys when I get those 3 up. Okay, as you guys can see, I have my 3 up there. Compare weight gain from admission and review lab values. I am just plugging in all my data that I need to. These are labs. I usually like to put an H or an L to signify if it was high or low, even though us and our instructors know it was high and it was low, but I just like for them to have it because different hospitals have different values, and I just like for it to just be stated that it is high. Then I'm going to connect the bun and the creatinine to the acute kidney injury because, of course, if the kidneys are functioning, then the creatinine and bun is going to be high. So then I changed those to purple, which was my lab and my key. I also have some different interventions on the side or some different data, weight, daily weight, and their admitting weight and their weight currently. Any meds they're on, I'll put that in there, which my meds are blue. Connect the tamsulosin to the BPH, which is to help with that. Of course, make it look like my key. Anything else, any other meds they're on, we can put on there. Because they have acute kidney injury or they have excess fluid volume, we have a bunch of other meds we could put. But of course, this is just one quick example of how I do my concept maps. So we'll just put a couple. Okay, as you guys can see, I'm just double checking it to make sure everything is there, make sure everything matches. Nursing diagnosis is green. My medical diagnoses are yellow. I don't know where I was going with this, but oh, I totally forgot to put the admitting diagnosis, the top medical diagnosis. So that's where I was going to go look for it. But as you can see that, I'm just typing it in. Normally I would have that first, so, I wouldn't have an arrow connecting to it. I would have it drop down too. But for purposes of me forgetting, I totally forgot. But admitting diagnosis is chronic heart failure and acute kidney injury. Now, of course, I don't know if you can. Of course, you can do it in different boxes. You don't have to do it in one box like I did. I'd never do it like this. Just because I forgot, I just decided to do this and to connect it with the arrow, which I never do. But again, I'll show you guys an example of my concept map fully done and fully completed. But yeah, so my meds are blue. There's my medical diagnoses. My interventions are dark blue. My goal is the purple. My subject or objective data is that coral color. Not really any objective data or any subjective data in this case study. And then we'll add some subjective data later. But until then, we just have this. And if you did want to add subjective data, you just double click in the spot you are in. And of course, subjective data, the client has to state it, or the family member has to state it, or somebody has to state it, and you have to put quotation marks. So I just put client stated, I have to pee, but I can't. And that would be subjective, and then you would relate that to the BPH, because of course it's a man, I guess now. Because they have BPH, but you would connect this to the BPH because when you have BPH, you really kind of have to pee, but you feel like you can't really. I mean, you want to go, but you just do little dribbles that you don't really completely go like you're supposed to. So that's it. I'm adding more objective data. Say if the patient was in stage 4 kidney injury or kidney disease or anything kidney, you would connect that to that. Make sure it's objective. Any vital signs, any blood pressures, anything else like that would be objective data. You would connect it to wherever you want to connect it. Anything like that. But this is the good part right here. So the way I did this, at first I was like, okay, let me not. But of course, we know anybody who's on furosemide, they will be on potassium. There's no doubt about that because furosemide is a loop diuretic, so it depletes everything, even the potassium and the sodium and stuff. So we want to give them back what they deplete. We don't want the sodium back, but we want to give them back the potassium and the calcium. So what I did here, as you can see, I'm deleting the crosses because of excess fluid volume, he's on furosemide. And because he's on furosemide, he has to have potassium and he has to have the calcium. So the arrows going the other way wouldn't make sense because that would mean that the potassium is because of the furosemide. The furosemide is, so I kind of switched the arrow direction. And because he has excess fluid volume, he's on furosemide and so on and so forth. Change the colors to make sure my meds are a blue color. And that's pretty much it for an example of how I do my concept map. This is not really a great example, of course, but I mean, it's somewhat of how I do it and how you use this website. Okay, the last thing here, I'm going to teach you guys how to save it so you can export it and submit it to your teachers. So that little download button, you save it as a JPEG or whatever your school wants you to save it as. Our school wants us to save it as JPEG, and then you wait for it to load. It usually doesn't take 30 seconds. Load, and then the picture will just pop up in your face. So see, it goes to your downloads and it pops up and it shows you your whole concept map. So that's how it looks. I mean, this is with one medical diagnosis. Our school, we have to have 3 medical diagnoses, or 3 nursing diagnoses, 3 interventions, 3 goals, and all those things. So, okay, so this is an example of a concept map that I did about 2 weeks ago. I got an A on it. As you can see, those are my 3 nursing diagnoses. Those are my 3 nursing interventions. Those are my medications that are in purple. Those are my subjective data that's in that pink. And that coral color, that's all my objective data. And then I also have my meds that are in that blue, or my labs in that blue. That purple on the bottom is my outcomes. And I can show you guys how I create. So that GERD is related to any attributing factors. He has GERD. And that's contributed to everything like that. And because he has GERD, he's on omeprazole. So that all connects. Also, our teachers don't mind if something else is like far that doesn't, attain to our medical diagnoses. Then put that in the corner, and I have a little baby concept map there. So I have my medical diagnoses, got my objective data, I got my labs, and I have my medications over there in purple for what they're taking for those for that diagnosis. If it doesn't really connect with your concept map, you can just put it in the corner a little bit. But that's my concept map that I do, and that's an example of mine. You guys can also rename your concept map right there. at the top, rename. I usually just name it to where I went. So if I went to Tele or ITU or something like that, I put that, but I'm just going to put example. And I usually put the date or I put my name. So either one, you can throw it in there. You can put whatever your teacher wants y'all to put. You just rename it and you see it right there. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this was a helpful video. I tried my best to make it as helpful as I could. I know it got kind of long, but I just thank you guys for watching. Here's the example of my concept map, and just stay tuned for my next videos. Bye!